Hey, Fritz.
How's it going?
Look, it's going fine. I've just been a busy day. So I wanted to go ahead and pick up where we left off in the last live. So last live, you were mentioning a few books that you do make sure that you read and get finished with weekly. So can you share a little bit more of that? Like
Yeah,
what type of books? What do they do for you? How beneficial has it been to just, be consistent with that kind of cycle, just making sure you read a book or two every week.
yeah, definitely. And that's one of the hidden gem in network marketing. And I always refer to it because until I got into network marketing, I don't think I've ever read a book cover to cover. I remember even when I was in high school, and even when we had books to read, you always got the quick enough, or you read just enough to get the passing grade in the class. So I didn't grow up in an environment where they forced us to read. So when I got around these people who were talking about becoming successful, and this was a challenge for me, is that I wanted to learn how to make more money, and they kept on pushing me to be a better person. And I'm like, listen, you don't understand, like being a good person don't pay my bills. And I couldn't link the two together. And one of the things I could remember this quote, and let's see, it says, success is not something you chase. It is something you attract by the person you become. And that was tough for me. I was like, wow. So then I remember the first book I read. So one of my mentors he talked about, he's saying reading is a habit that you have to pick up. But sometimes what happens is that when we say we got to read a book, we try to figure out, how am I going to schedule or carve out time out of my schedule for me to read this 80-page book? And you never have enough time. But if you were to say, you know what I'm going to do starting tomorrow, I'm going to I want to get to a point where I'm reading 10 pages of a book a day. So that's not a
I was
big deal
at a
for you. You
chapter,
take
but yeah.
10 pages. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? But then guess what? Even if you can't read 10, even if tomorrow you started out with 2 and then you moved up to 3, and then if you just started the habit of picking up the book, eventually you get to 10 pages a day. So I was like, you know what? I could 10 pages a day. How hard could it be? And I was given this book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? As a
Say
matter of
that one
fact,
more
I have
time.
a young lady.
Who's the
It's
cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, I have, of course, my book does not show it up. I'll show it to you guys in a minute. It's Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And one of the quotes that really resonated with me from that book is, what would you do if you were not afraid? And it just talks about one of the biggest things that holds us back in life is fear. Sometimes, like, I could remember when I was in high school and we had to go when we were playing football. I was so afraid of getting on the field and missing a catch with people in the stand. I was fine in practice,
Right.
but I got the fear of the embarrassment stopped me from doing all the stuff I wanted to do. When I grew up in Haiti, and even till today, as a grown person, I still fear reading in front of people because I grew up, my first language is French. I struggle with an accent, and when I read, it comes out because I'm concentrating on the words. Therefore, I can't hide the accent well, and it's so embarrassing to me. And I'm afraid of the laughter I used to get when I was in elementary school, and it still holds me from reading today. So fear keeps us from doing all the stuff that we want to do.
Yeah.
So the books is what it just freed me. And when I read Who Moved My Cheese, and it was the first book, and it's such a simple book. It's a real silly little story about 3 characters that got up and their cheese was missing, and their reaction to the missing cheese. And after that, I read the book.
Hmm.
It changed my life.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? I got to start reading. And I read this book in 2000, I want to say 2002. I graduated high school in 1992.
Right.
And it was the first book I've read since I left high school.
Right.
And
That
after
makes
that book, I've never read less than 1 book a month.
That's awesome. like, it's funny because like it hits on so many different things because it's like discipline to pick up that habit. And then like the goals, like the small to big is literally, I agree. That's how you succeed. You can start with what is achievable, and then that achievable is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I used to read a lot, but it just really depends on what it is. I kind of went through a phase to where I would read. I would always, anytime I chose to read, I would always read 2 books at a time. That just helped. I don't know, because I wanted to read both, and I just didn't want to choose. So I kind of mapped out a way where I could kind of read both. And it was never just, oh, I'm gonna read 6 chapters today, and that's that. Like I would read as much as I could, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna stop right here because I know something's about to happen. Let me get into this book and kind of take turns with it and kind of level it out. So reading is definitely, that helped me kind of through that phase. However, I do need to get back into it and kind of increase how much I'm reading.
I feel like that would be good for the brain. Like they say, when you listen to a new
Yeah.
song, it like sends like, your brain has to figure it out. Like it's almost like a puzzle. You're going from this story, because I get into books. I couldn't stop. Like I get into them, and then when they end, I'm really sad. Like I'm like, well, now what? Like I have to start another, So I don't know if I could do that, but I think that's kind of a neat idea, though. It's like, yeah. I'm not a person.
Me-
Like
They said
myself.
Warren
I'm like,
Buffett.
I need to know.
Warren Buffett, he reads like majority of his day.
Wow.
Majority of his day. How many? I forgot the facts.
The book a week, yeah.
Yeah,
Success
a book a week.
season.
I guess. No. I'm talking about Warren Buffett. The amount of
Oh.
reading that he does. Yes, it's like ridiculous.
So
So
one of the things that I found very interesting. So I have a book list that I read every year. Same book. Like I just read Who Moved My Cheese again this week.
Yeah.
And people say, "Are you serious? You read the same book?" I'm like, "Yeah." So like I got a list of books. So look, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read that every year.
that's a good one.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this is the crazy stuff. And sometimes when I explain this to people, this is where
That book. Yeah. The how to make friends.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah. And yeah, how to win friends and influence you. I literally just saw that yesterday.
Yeah. I read that every year. So now this is where it's going to be crazy for you. I've read certain books more than once, some of them 4 or 5 times, and every single time I get something that I didn't get before.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it was crazy to me, and I couldn't understand why. And then I had to realize, and guess what it was? This is why I recommend certain people read books at different stages of their life, is
Yeah.
because the mind is a very powerful thing. And what your mind will do, your mind knows we have so much information coming at us on a daily basis. When you're driving your car, there's people jumping in the street, there's this going on, there's people fighting, there's people waiting for the bus, and you have to learn to block all that stuff out. So your mind is only going to pick up the stuff that you need. So I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People when I was building my business, and the book taught me how to engage new people. So if I meet someone today, how do I speak to them? A year later, when I read the book again, I had a team that I was growing. In the book, when I read the book again, even though the same information on how to talk to people was there, the stuff that talks about how to deal with your team, I didn't notice some before. So the next year, I'm like, somebody had to get in this book and write this because there's no way I missed it. It's just that I wasn't in a point in my life where that information was important to me. Therefore, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
This book that I've read 4 or 5 times, and because there wasn't situations at the time, like I have some things that I'm trying to talk to my daughter. She's 11 years old now, and there's some kind of conversation. And these same books, I'm like, oh, the tip was in there for how to talk. But because I wasn't dad at the time, it did not resonate with me.
Right.
So these books every year, I get new information or new stuff. I've grown to a different part of my life where now this book is important to me.
Right.
That makes so much sense because all the books, or maybe about one, but the Napoleon Hill and the Robert Kiyosaki. Those two I definitely read. And my reading phase was when I was still working a job and I was trying to develop that mindset. So I had to look elsewhere and find elsewhere. So actually online, they have Napoleon Hill's, all his lectures. And I watched all his lectures as well as read his books. And then I made like a whole complete like vision board. And it's a lot of the things that Napoleon Hill, he's up there, Earl Nightingale, do these things 30 days, kind of, I know exactly what you're talking about, but that makes sense. That makes so much sense because I've grown so much from the first time, because the last time I read it was when I wanted to develop that mindset. Like I was changing, I was in transition, which I still feel like I am because I haven't made it to exactly where I want to be, but however, I'm not where I started. So that makes a lot of sense. Like I definitely need to look back at it.
She's going to be reading 2 books tonight.
But you know what? You know what's funny is that, Raven, you just said, you know what? You were in transition, and sometimes that's the difference between successful people and the less successful people. Because we started this live by you saying Warren Buffett reads a book a week. What could he possibly need to learn with as much money as he has?
I think he does more than that, but I have to look it up.
Because guess what? As humans, believe it or not, we're either growing or dying.
Yeah, you got to continue to learn.
Yeah,
Right.
There is no in between. So if you don't exercise the mind, that's how, you know what? One of the things I noticed, and that's taking me off on a different tangent, there's certain diseases that are just common in the United States that are less common in some other countries among older adults. So, and the reason is because as we get older here, because of our lifestyle, we stop doing as much as we used to. The brain is not engaged. You don't have to go to work. So like, man, I'm just retired. I'm just going to kick it around the house today and watch Jeopardy and all the other stuff. Where in some other countries, these older people are still working. And it's like, well, this person's like 97. They don't have Alzheimer's. How come our people over here does? And some of these things is because we're not exercising the mind anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I read that, it made sense. You're either growing or you're dying. If I have a six pack and I have muscles right now and I stop working out, they will go away.
Right.
I have to keep working them.
Yeah. So it's funny, we were talking about BNI right before here, but you have to write like your key to success. And that's what I say, learn something new every day. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me because I don't know, like reading. I got so, like you said, it started to condition my mind. So I would look forward to reading. You know, I would be like, oh, I can't wait to, you don't know what you're about to learn. So yeah, I completely relate. So, did you have it?
It's all about the discipline. It's all about the discipline. And what you're going to find is this. If you find a way to carve out the whatever amount of time it takes to read that 10 minutes of a book every day, you're going to find that somehow that discipline is going to bleed into, let's say you had a healthy eating habit, you're going to, because you're able to read that 10 pages, you just told yourself that you're a winner and you do what you say you're going to do. And now if one of your habits was to eat healthy, you're going to find a way to eat healthy. And because you did that, if you say, you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to be a better this, you're going to start doing this. What happens is in life is that we have to do these small little goals. Like we got to have these little wins. That's
Right.
why the team that goes to the Super Bowl had a bunch of wins throughout the season. The more wins I have, the more I believe I'm a winner. The more I believe I'm a winner, the more I win. So if your team has never lost a game this season, and my team has lost all its game and never had a win, I've already lost the game because my intimidation by your wins make me operate at a lower level.
Right.
And it's mental. So guess what? When we set goals for ourselves and we set little achievable goals, as you achieve it, it's like, oh my God, I read 2 pages today. Tomorrow you're able to read 3. The following day you're able to read 4. The next day you could, and before you know it, you're reading a book. What the problem is that we pick up a book with 80 pages and say, I'm going to read it today. And you don't read it and say, man, I knew it. I told you I didn't have time. The kids are going on. I got this going on. And now you give yourself permission not to do it again tomorrow, not to do it again tomorrow, not to do it again tomorrow. And you never read the book. But if you just wanted to read 3 pages and you read 3 pages and 5 pages and 6 pages and 10 pages, and next time you put it, you saw in the book, you finish it, And you look at it, it's like, oh my God, now that you did one book, you could do another book, and then you do another book. And every day you get a little bit better and a little bit better. And all we got to do is strive to be 1% better every day.
I like that one.
As
I have to be 1% better every day. We're gonna have to make that a quote.
I believe I agree too. Just to speak on what you said about like eating.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I chose to, this kind of a little off, but it kind of goes into what you're saying. But I chose to do like a spiritual cleansing, and so I chose to go vegan and completely just get away from the meat and all of that, and see, because a lot of people say, oh, it makes you think clear, it makes you, like when you don't have all of that in your body. And I was like, you know what? Instead of just going off of somebody else's experience, let me do this myself. And I can attest to it and say that it has shifted me completely. Like it has me zoned.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 years now, ever since I feel a lot better. I have energy. I'm so focused. I mean, but all the way around is, it's not for everybody, but that's something that I wanted to try for myself, to just see how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect Raven? And it's definitely done me some good. So that's why I always encourage, just making sure you eat the right things and putting the right things into your body, because it definitely will give you, that's your fuel. That's your fuel. So if you're putting trash in your food fuel, it's going to get clouded, and you're not going to be really attached, like you're not going to internally, so yeah.
But
That helped me out a lot.
maybe it's not for everybody, but I think it is for everybody. It should be.
It should be.
So
Vegetarian for 4 years, but vegan I couldn't do because I love cheese and eggs. That's like literally the only thing that kept me from being a
But
vegan.
you like the taste. You only like the taste, so you have to retrain your taste buds.
But I don't
like the
vegan
taste.
cheese. Vegan cheese is so gross. It tastes like burning.
But we shouldn't have cheese. We shouldn't have cheese, We shouldn't, but we have to just retrain our taste buds.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, once you go without it, I don't even
Once you
desire.
But it's all about your mindset. And I have my weakness for me, myself, and I choose not to watch some documentaries, because I know if I watch it and it forces me to go, but I'm not ready to go to make that leap yet. But this is what I remember reading this one somewhere, and this is what it said. It said, if I gave you $1 million horse, what would you feed it?
$1 million.
$1 million horse is the best. Like I'm not gonna cut corners. Like it's like almost like if I gave you a Ferrari or a Maybach, would you pull up to the gas station that have the cheap gas, or the gas station that is run down, like they put water in the gas? Would you go where you have the best gas, or you're gonna put the best? Would you only go in that car when you're dressed properly? Would you go in there dirty? If the kids were playing in the mud, would you let them jump into the car? And you know what most people answer is? No. So we wouldn't do that to $1 million car, but we do it to our $1 million body.
Yeah.
Right. Gosh, man, I'm gonna end up being a vegetarian again. I've been thinking about it for a while now, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have to go out on bacon again like I did the first time.
Yeah, we definitely got to get you back there, because it's I'm telling you, it's like the best feeling ever. I mean, yeah, I got a little smaller, but I know it all come back, because all the bad stuff that was making me, But now I know that it's the right path to go. It just makes me feel better. I know that I would never eat meat again. I would never go back again. I would never. So that's just a note out there to anybody who's watching it. You should do your facts and look it up on. I don't even like to say vegan diet. I just say living for wellness, eating for wellness. So that's what I.
I think that's what we got to. I think that's what we need to do. Is that I hate when we label stuff, because sometimes the label scares you.
Yeah.
Right.
Before you call it any specific diet, let's look at what your goals are. Like, do you want to be healthy?
Right.
And if you want to be healthy, then find out what you should eat and just eat that.
Right.
Because then, I don't want to be vegan for whatever preconceived notion we have of that word or that. But the thing is, how do you want to be? And what you were talking about, Raven, let me put it this way. I watched this documentary. It was called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dying. And this guy talked about the amount of vegetables that we intake and stuff like that. And where it was from the dude that did Super Size Me or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And he was doing smoothies and only did vegetables for like whatever number of days. And he talked about all the medicine that he took and all the stuff that he used to take before. And this dude had to take like 12 or 15 different pills every day. Some steroid for skin problem, blood pressure, you name it, he had it. He was doing vegetables and it was doing juicing for like whatever amount of time. And after 6 months, he didn't have to take any pills. And I was like, you know what, that's some BS. I don't buy it. So then one of my business partner, Mike Humes, was like, Fritz, you know what? He made me watch the documentary. I'm like, you know what? I want to try it. After the third day, the level of clarity that I had, I was like, was I working on like I was drunk? Like, there's no way my normal was that the clarity, like just all the stuff you talked about, Raven. I wasn't tired. I was like, there's no way. And you know what? And like my one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar, the late Zig Ziglar used to say,
Just watch that. Did you see? There's a documentary on Amazon, and it just hit Prime, so I watched it the other night. And that's where it was talking about. It was funny because it talked about like they drew out the circle, and then like she's like, "Here's one goal. Now that you've done this, this is the next." And then that's why I referenced that because that's what it made me think of. But yeah.
Listen, I know we must have been on the side for a while because I know you're enjoying this conversation. How we doing on time, Raven?
It's time.
Well, thanks
All
for
right,
letting me
definitely.
join in this week. I appreciate that.
Awesome. It's good having you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. So we'll just pick up from here, I guess. Healthy habits can relate to being successful as well. I mean, reading books, eating, all of it connects. You really just can't do one without the other. So that's what a lot of people need to realize. So got to make them connect.
It is connected. It is connected because if you watch some of the successful people, a lot of these things are interconnected. But and I know somebody watching this might say, "Oh, that's not true. I know this person that is wealthy and they don't have this and stuff like that." Yes, it's only because that may not be one of their focuses. Because at times, sometimes we chase certain things because of whatever deficiencies that we had growing up and things like that, and certain things are not important to us. But the skills that are necessary, and I don't even want to say skill, the discipline that is necessary to be successful is the same discipline that is necessary for you to be a good parent. The same discipline that is necessary for you to be a good spouse. It's just that if your goal is not to be if one of your goals is not to be a good spouse, therefore you don't focus on it. So that's why I was like, well, if that was true, Fritz, everybody that have money would have happy marriages. Not really. Because if you talk to somebody that has money and they read a book every month on how to have money, but they don't read a book a month on marriage, then you could understand why they have success and not the health. So what the discipline is what's important. And once you have that discipline, though, whatever your goal is, you're gonna go after it. It's just that sometimes what we think someone's goal should be, it's not necessarily their goal. So if I grew up and I didn't have money and that's all I want, I had the option of being a good spouse and all the other stuff. It just wasn't my focus. That's important to you, but not important to me. But I actually do have the discipline to do all.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work. And we got to learn to understand that so that we don't use that as an excuse. Because that's why people say, it's like, well, you know what? I don't want to make money because everybody I know that have money don't have a happy life. Well, have money and have a happy life. If it wasn't their goal, your goal is not to play. So, and I hate when I talk to people and they're afraid of success because of one successful person that they know that doesn't have everything that whoever it is looking at them think they should have. I could look at Michael Jordan and say, well, he should have this, he should have this. Michael Jordan should have this car, but Michael Jordan don't like the car I like. So I don't want to say, well, I don't want to be like him because you don't have the car I want. You still want to be that and still have the stuff you want, and we just got to respect that.
Yeah, success means something different to almost everyone too, like the level and stuff. But yeah, balance and I agree with you. But it takes discipline to be able to do it all. Like, I got Raven and I have children running about all day long, but we're still doing this but we're still pausing to go do the parenting when necessary. And no, I get it. Because I want to do all of that. I want to be the balance. I want the spouse and I have the spouse and all of that. So yeah, my focus is to be happy, honestly. Like, it's not on money, it's on wealth, like the good things in life, and to be happy and to help others. And so that's what I focus on in my main goals in life. And that I feel like those are way more achievable achievable than saying I want money or I want this amount or this like car or whatever, because that's not going to mean crap to me when I'm in the ground. So,
I know that.
What I find in my coaching and when I work with people, definitely if you're watching this live, and even if you're watching a replay, if you have somebody that you think could get something out of this live, make sure you share it with them and stuff like that. But what I find is this: even when someone tells you they want money, if you dig down inside, you get to find out what they need it for. So like
Right.
sometimes you have somebody say, "Listen, I want money." Say, "Why do you want that?" Or because I want to buy a house. Why do you want the house? Because I want to put my family. Why do you want to do that? Because this. And then once you start peeling the onion, it's just that we live in a world where it's not. We don't share those things with others because they either ridicule us or fear again of
Yeah.
failure.
Oh yeah.
But
for
the thing is, everyone that wants something, if you peel the onion, there's a drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like some people's like, hey, listen, I want this. I met this guy. He was like, listen, I want to make $3,000 a month. I said, why? He's like, because that's how much money I need. I'm like, well, what if you have $3,000 a month? What would you do with it? He's like, well, I would pay my mom's rent. I'm like, okay. So let's say you were able to pay your mom rent and you did more. What would you do? So like, you know what? I want to buy my mom a house and I want to do this. And then that's when you realize, oh wow, so it's not about the money. It's
Yeah.
what you get to do with it.
Right. And once you set that goal, your brain automatically makes you take those steps to get it. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I know that you and I can talk forever.
Right. Yeah. So we're just gonna wrap up, and then, as always, we are doing lives every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We kind of had some issues yesterday. That's why we didn't go live. So, but we're getting the tech issues under control. So just make sure you share this video with anybody who you feel will get any type of value, and rewatch it, share, comment, like, all of that. And
Questions that you want us to
yeah.
talk about down in the
Yeah.
comment section, we'll make sure we get your question.
Right, for sure. If there's anything
We'll
you
drop
would
the
like for us to
books
talk
too.
about.
The book list.
Oh.
I said I wrote down all the books so we can drop the book list too.
Right, absolutely. If you want
Yeah,
those
if you
books,
read
just
the book, that's good. Put it in the comment. I'm always looking for books to read.
right, absolutely. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome.